if you're in the mood for a good dessert to impress the family, look no further than chocolate whoopie pie. What's a whoopie pie? Kelly Lou's going to tell us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I've never heard of this. We were talking about this yesterday. We said, a whoopie pie. What's a whoopie pie?
So it's like a cross between a cookie and a cake.
Oh, right.
So it has the shape of the cookie. It has a lovely soft texture like a cake. We're going to sandwich them together and you can put any filling you want in them.
And we were saying earlier on, this is an American thing.
This is an American. Yeah, I actually had them when I was in New York and absolutely loved them. And they are so simple to make. They bake really, really quickly. So a great thing to throw together if you have visitors coming over last minute. They're a really quick dessert to make.
OK, show us how it's done then.
Perfect. So I have creamed my butter and sugar. So I had 200 grams of sugar and 170 grams of room temperature butter. You want to cream them together till they're light and fluffy. And I'll show you the rest just so that's not really noisy. Then we're going to get all our dry ingredients together. So I have 210 grams of plain flour. I'm adding in 65 grams of cocoa powder, a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of bread soda, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. So that's all your dry ingredients. Just give them a little whisk together. And we're going to set that aside. Then we're going to get on to our wet ingredients. So I have 125 mils of buttermilk. I'm going to add 2 eggs to that. A drop of vanilla extract, and I'm also going to add 60 mils of coffee. Now, you don't get a really strong coffee taste from this.
I had a little taste of it. I wasn't tasting any coffee at all.
No, what coffee does is coffee and cocoa powder are meant to go together. So coffee will intensify the cocoa flavour and give you a nicer, stronger chocolate flavour. So if you're making chocolate cake or anything like that, always put in a little bit of coffee because it'll bring out that nice chocolatey cocoa flavour.
Okay.
So we're going to give that a whisk. And then we're very simply going to combine our dry and wet ingredients. Just make sure that eggs are broken up. And mix these together. So yeah, you don't taste the coffee, but it will give you a nicer cocoa taste.
Yeah, you definitely don't taste the coffee. And I was saying to you, they are delicious. It's a real sugar rush. Wow.
They are really nice. And the best thing about these, they cook really, really quickly. So we're just going to mix these together.
So like the kids off at half term this week, so nice little way to get them involved in the kitchen.
Perfect way to get them involved. Really great way to get them involved.
So you're just going to put that into the butter?
I'm just going to add that into this mix then. I'll use this spatula as easier. And you want to make sure when you're creaming your butter and sugar that you always have room temperature butter, because if your temperature is cold out of the fridge, it's going to take ages to get it to come together. So just make sure your butter is always soft. And how you can tell, and I had someone ask me the other day, how can I tell that it's room temperature? If you kind of touch your finger off it, you should see an indent from your finger.
All right,
that means you know it's
soft
enough to use. So we're going to mix this all together. And this is kind of a funny mix. It's not as runny as a cake batter or a cupcake mix. It's kind of a little bit thicker, and that means it'll hold its shape then when we go to scoop it onto the tray.
You have your ice cream scooper.
I know,
you literally have that every week. Your ice cream scooper is always on hand.
One of our most used tools in the bakery. This is a nice little small one. So you might want to as well just scrape your bowl down. Make sure there's none of that butter on the side of the bowl.
And how many of them would you get out of this?
So this, you actually get a lot. So you get 15 sandwiches. So you get about 30 of the, 25 to 30 of individual circles, and that'll make 15 sandwiches. So you get lots out of this mix.
That's great value
for money. Like you could use a bigger scoop and make bigger ones if you wanted, but they are big enough. So they're kind of nearly like a teaspoon size. It'd be perfect. So once your mix is all together, we're just going to scoop it on to your lined tray. Make sure to leave a little bit of space between, because these are going to spread out. You're leaving a good bit
of space there.
Yeah, like they don't spread out hugely, but you want to just make sure you have enough. If they're all kind of odd shapes, just dampen your finger slightly, and you can just put in any bits that are sticking out. It'll just give you kind of a more even shape. So these are going into your oven. They cook really quickly. So 170 degrees and about 8 to 10 minutes they cook. So super fast.
Oh, only 8 to 10 minutes?
8 to 10 minutes, so they're really quick. So we're going to pop
then do you let them cool down? So like if you didn't have a big oven, are you putting them in one at a time or a couple of trays?
You can cut in a couple of trays if you want. I know yesterday I made a few batches. So you can, like, that batter will be fine. They cook so quick, you can be scooping the next batter while they're baking. So once
they come out like that, and then do you let them cool then, obviously?
Let them cool fully, and they're like a nice, I'll just explain to you, they're like They're nearly like the wafer on an iceberg
Oh, yeah.
ice cream. They're like that chocolatey sponge on the
Yeah.
ice cream. So these will be lovely filled with ice cream in the summer. But today we're just going to fill them with, I have vanilla buttercream that I made up. And to make vanilla buttercream, it's half butter to sugar. So if you have 200 grams of icing sugar, it's 100 grams of butter. And just sandwich them together. And you could, if you want, you could fill them with Nutella, with peanut butter. You could do, say, like a half a swirl.
Nutella, peanut butter, no.
Yeah, you could do.
Ruin it.
You could do a half a swirl and then
just
maybe
so
put
lovely as they
a
are.
chocolate filling into it.
Would they still be called a whoopie pie if they had Nutella or butter?
Yeah. But this is where you can experiment and you can fill them with anything you like. And this way you can get kids involved. You know, you could put.
And then you've just put a bit of.
Sprinkle of icing sugar on top just to finish
of
them
it.
off. You could put some sweets into the middle of them as well. You know, you could put some chocolates or Smarties so that you get kind of a surprise in the middle.
I have to tell you now, that and a cup of tea is just delicious.
And they're not really heavy either. They're a nice dessert.
Oh, yeah, you could have them for dessert, obviously, yeah.
But with ice cream, beautiful for dessert. Maybe a drizzle of chocolate ganache on top as well.
There you
really
go. Now you're
changing it
talking.
up for...
Now you're talking. Kelly Lou, thank you so much for that. Thank you.
You're so welcome.